Yuri, the art of hunting always fascinated me, even when I was a little boy living in rural Russia. My father used to take me along on the hunts with the men of our village for deer. I loved the thrill of the chase as we crept toward our unsuspecting prey through the thick undergrowth of the forest, maybe because it was the only time in my childhood that I had any power or control. Many men believe power comes from your position in society, but until you've taken another's life, you don't know the true meaning of power. My target glances over his shoulder as he moves awkwardly through the crowd, glancing in the opposite direction. He is the unsuspecting deer today. The adrenaline rushing through my veins makes me feel alert and invincible, a powerful weapon in the hands of someone who knows how to control it. Adrenaline can either make or break a person. An older man pushing along a cart full of fruit gets in my way, but I move around him. My eyes never leave the man I'm stalking. My prey, I know Chinatown seems like one of the worst places to carry out a hit. The streets are busy and chaotic, but that's what makes it perfect. Again, Alessandro glances over his shoulder in my direction this time. I keep my eyes to the ground for a moment, making sure the baseball cap covers my face. My target isn't stupid. He's been Enzo's capo since his father died 3 years ago. Before his father died, he was a loyal and ruthless soldier held in high esteem by the Mafia. I'm not surprised he knows he's being followed. The question is, does he know how much danger he is in right now? 10 years I've lived here in New York City. Taking jobs for criminals, I've never failed. Andre wants him dead, so he will be before the day is through. There's no question about it. Alessandro has messed with the wrong guy. Stealing a shipment of the Russians' drugs is plain stupid, especially for someone like him. Alessandro glances over his shoulder again as I keep my distance, tailing him through the crowd. He can sense someone is tracking him. My target slips down a side street, but I know all the tricks in the book. If he thinks I'm going to follow him down there, then he is mistaken. I hasten my steps and walk past the opening into the alleyway. My heart is racing as I break into a jog down the next alleyway to make it onto the next street over before Alessandro. I get a few odd looks. Alessandro is trying to draw out his pursuer, but it's impossible. I never reveal myself. I tilt the cap of my baseball cap slightly as I slip onto the busy street. Alessandro is tall, which makes my job easier. He towers over most of the people in the crowd. He continues with tense shoulders, probably because he's in enemy territory right now. I'm not sure what the Italian capo could want with the triad, but I get the feeling he is up to no good. I watch him as he walks into a restaurant. Fuck. I can't follow inside, not only because it's triad owned, but because I never get that close to a target. The restaurant is too small for me to remain inconspicuous. Alessandro is up to no good if he's meeting with the triad. I wonder if Enzo knows what one of his capos is getting up to behind his back, stealing from the Russians and doing deals with the Chinese. Enzo isn't stupid. He wouldn't have ordered Alessandro to make a move on Andre's brotherhood. They have a truce and an agreement which Alessandro has broken. I contemplate whether or not to follow him inside. No one knows me except people I want to, but even so, I don't exactly blend in here. Instead, I slip down the alleyway next to the restaurant, searching for a window so I can watch my target. Losing him isn't an option since Andre pays me well to ensure a job is completed quickly and without a hitch. I promised it would be done by the end of the day. There is a window that looks into the main restaurant, but it's up high. I move the trash can over and climb on top, peering inside. Alessandro is sitting at the table with a couple of members of the triad. He hands over a wedge of cash. If he's dealing with the triad, then he is working behind Enzo's back for sure. They are renowned for doing dirty deals, even in the eyes of the crime world. Enzo wouldn't like Alessandro being here, which makes me wonder if he has any idea what his capo is up to. Not that it is any of my business. I've done a job for Enzo in the past, but he never came back to me, too prejudiced when he found out I was Russian. I have to keep my head out of the politics. It's part of being a reliable assassin. Judgment clouds your mind when you're taking people out. I can detach myself from it and see people as nothing more or less than a target. It may mean I'm dead inside, it may mean I have no emotions, but it's what has kept me alive this long. It's the reason I'm good at doing what I do. Alessandro takes a bag from the men in return for the cash and then stands. I watch as he shakes their hands. It's my cue to get down and head back onto the street. I jump down and move quickly but carefully. It's almost time for me to strike. I walk slowly past the entrance to the restaurant, just as Alessandro leaves. We're so close that my sleeve brushes against his. It sends my adrenaline higher. My thirst for killing is sick, and I know it, but there's nothing quite as exciting as being a hunter after his prey in a place like this. He is behind me now as I walk a few steps ahead, sensing his presence. My HK-45 is snug against my rib cage, and I grip the handle ready to strike like a viper. If you think you need to be watching your target before you strike, then you are wrong. He's only a couple of steps behind, which means an innocent change of direction on my part will put me right in front of him. I take a deep breath before turning around and slamming into his chest. "Shit, sorry," I say as I pull out the HK-45 with the suppressor fitted and press it over his heart before he can even respond to my apology. I pull the trigger and the jostling, noisy crowd drowns out the silenced shot. Alessandro's eyes go wide. There's not enough time for fear to enter them as I see the pain register in his irises. I know I'm not right in the head as I enjoy watching for a short moment the life drain out of his eyes. I've been like this for as long as I can remember, although I know my father's beatings molded me into this monster. As an assassin, you have to enjoy the power trip of taking a life. I twist away from my target and stow the gun back in my jacket in one move. My steps away from the man I killed are slow and natural as I blend into the crowd. The thud of my target collapsing to the floor, followed by a few people gasping, tells me I've not got long to slip away. I hear a woman ask if he is okay. I walk as though I didn't just shoot a guy in the heart in the middle of a busy street. Once I'm 3 yards away, someone screams. The sick and twisted part of me feels satisfaction at hearing that sound, the fear and shock of someone finding my prey once I'm gone. My job here is complete, and no one witnessed it that I'm 100% certain about. Years of practice mean I'm one of the best in the industry. My golden rule is to take out my targets somewhere crowded and busy. A target killed in a quiet alleyway risks someone stumbling past and becoming a witness. A target killed in a chaotic street means there are too many possible culprits and no witnesses. I hide in the chaos and strike when the time is right, leaving quickly and naturally. It's never failed me in my 15 years as an assassin. I move off the busy street and head down an alleyway toward where I parked my car. There are a few people around, but not many. I never linger too long in the place I've carried out a hit. The quicker I can be somewhere else, the better. Andre wants me to meet him at his home once the job is done. He will be happy at my record time for this hit. I've considered joining his ranks a few times before, but it doesn't suit me. He promises a handsome wage and security, but I'm used to being on my own. Being a part of a brotherhood isn't my style. Lately, I haven't carried out jobs for any other criminal gangs. When I first got to New York, I took jobs for anyone that would pay. It became clear that it's dangerous not to have an allegiance of some kind. So Andre was my natural choice. We're both Russian for a start, and I understand the Bratva's ways, having worked for them in my home city of Moscow before moving to America. I unlock my Chevy, which I parked illegally. Luckily, there's no ticket on it this time. Not that it would matter. My plates are fake. I slip inside, turning over the key. The purr of the powerful engine soothes my firing nerves. After a moment, the adrenaline starts to wear off and I start to feel normal again. The glove compartment houses my knife. I grab it and roll up the sleeve of my shirt, slicing my skin deep enough to scar. I keep the tally of my hits on my arms and scars, 325 and counting. I like to have the number somewhere visible and permanent. I make quick work of bandaging the cut, pulling the sleeve of my shirt back down. The pain is welcome as I pull out of the space and head out of Chinatown. Sirens blare in the distance, but I will be long gone by the time the cops get here. Another target dead and gone, and still I feel nothing. I've often questioned whether I'm dead inside, but come up blank. It's possible after my dark upbringing it hardened me to anything. Emotion is a weakness and it clouds people's judgment. Money, on the other hand, is king, and it's time for me to get paid. Ava Enzo D'Angelo's mansion towers over me as I reluctantly walk toward the front entrance. Today isn't the first time Enzo has called me to his home on Staten Island, but this is the first time he has sounded angry. I tried to find out on the phone what the case was, but he wouldn't tell me anything. Enzo is one of the most level-headed crime bosses in the city, and something tells me I'm walking into chaos. As a freelance private investigator, I don't normally drop everything and come running. When someone like Enzo calls me, though, at 8 o'clock on a Thursday evening, I'm not stupid enough to ignore him. Helen was pissed when I canceled our dinner tonight, literally in person at the restaurant. She'll get over it, though. I'll make it up to her. My heart is pounding as I ring the bell on the door. It never gets any easier working for criminals. I tap my foot on the doorstep, trying to calm my nerves. When I first became a PI after being kicked out of the police academy for an error that wasn't even my fault, I loved every minute of it. The excitement of being your boss and investigating crimes until my reputation for cracking cases became impossible to hide from all the wrong people. The criminals that I work for pay far better than any civilian could, and I was lured into bed with them. They may pay well, but tensions have been heating amongst all the criminal organizations of New York, and I know that I'm in danger of being caught in the crossfire. The door opens, and a young woman stands on the other side. She has long, dark brown hair and olive skin, very pretty, but often Enzo's employees at his home are all stunning women. "Hello, how can I help you?" I smile. "My name is Ava Jackson. I'm here to see." "Oh yes, Mr. D'Angelo is expecting you." She opens the door wide and steps to one side. "Please, come on in." I step inside and wait for her to take me to him. She leads me through his home, which is full of expensive artwork and famous sculptures. The woman stops outside his office door, knocking on it and rocking slightly as if nervous. "Who is it?" Enzo calls. "Miss Jackson is here for your meeting, sir." There's a short silence. "Send her in." She gives me a weak smile and opens the door for me. I notice Enzo's attention drawn solely to the woman as she opens the door, stepping aside to allow me in. He hardly looks at me as all of his focus on her. "If that is all, sir?" she asks, but doesn't meet his intense gaze. "Yes, thank you, Sophia." His voice is a little deeper as he says her name. She clears her throat as her cheeks start to redden and then leaves the room. Enzo's attention is fixed on her until the moment the door is shut. He shifts in his seat, loosening his tie. Something tells me the Italian crime boss has a thing for his maid. He finally looks at me for the first time. "Miss Jackson, thank you for coming on such short notice." I smile. "Of course, and you know to call me Ava, Mr. D'Angelo." "You know you should call me Enzo." He chuckles, seeming far calmer than he was on the phone. I feel like my father whenever anyone calls me that. He signals to the seat opposite his desk. "Please, have a seat." I sit, reaching into my bag for my notebook and pen. "So what can I do for you?" I ask, crossing one leg over the other. Enzo runs a hand through his thick dark hair. All hell has broken loose. I notice the whiskey glass half full on his desk, which he is holding so tightly his knuckles are white. My capo, Alessandro Rossi, was murdered this afternoon. He takes a long sip of his drink and sets the glass down with a thud. "The bastard that did it took him out in a very public place," he growls. "Shit. Alessandro is one of Enzo's closest men. If one of the other gangs has taken him out, they could be heading for all-out war." "Where and when was he murdered?" I ask, keeping my professional PI head on. The fact is, I've made my bed, and now I've got to lie in it. There's no refusing a man like Enzo. He was murdered at 4 o'clock this afternoon on Main Street in Chinatown. My eyes widen. "Fuck." Enzo nods. "Whoever did this is confident enough that they are untouchable." His fingers tighten around the glass in his hand, and he empties the contents down his throat. "That's why I need you, Ava. You are the best PI in the city. Praise I'm not sure I'm deserving of, but I may be one of the best PIs that will work for people like Enzo." He stands and grabs a bottle of whiskey off the counter, pouring himself another glass. Every time I meet with Enzo, he always has a glass of whiskey in his hand. "Would you like one?" he asks. I shake my head. "No, thank you." He sits back down, taking a sip. "I need to make the bastard that did this to me pay. Alessandro was my capo. Alessandro's murder is an attack on me and my men." I write down some notes. "Do you have an inkling as to who may have wanted to hurt Alessandro?" He laughs. "Ava, do you know how many enemies we have in this city?" I nod. "Of course, but I wondered if there had been any recent disagreements or anything out of the ordinary." Enzo shakes his head. "Not that I'm aware of." He loosens the tie around his neck. "Maybe you should check with Mario Campini, my number 2. They were always together, and he might have more insight than I do." I write down the name, wishing he'd mentioned any other of his men than Mario. "The guy is a cocky asshole. I've come across him a couple of times concerning other cases." "Okay, any idea where I might find him?" Enzo looks distracted as he stares into his whiskey glass. "I've never seen him like this before. The young Italian crime boss is normally as sharp and focused as they come." "Enzo?" He shakes his head. "Sorry, what did you say?" I sigh. "Any idea where I might find Mario Campini?" He shakes his head. "No." He's been MIA ever since Alessandro died. My brow furrows as I write that down. He couldn't have had anything to do with it. Enzo glares at me. No chance, he growls. My eyes widen at the ferocity in his voice. I have to ask the difficult questions. He sighs heavily and stands from his chair, rubbing a hand across the back of his neck. I know. There are a few moments of silence as he walks to the window and stares out of it. I apologize for my shortness. Alessandro's death has come as a shock. Of course, are there any other details you think I need to know? He turns to face me. I don't have any useful information other than I think the Russians are behind this. His eyes narrow. They are the only ones who have the balls to pull something like this off. I clear my throat and write his hunch down. Even though I have every intention of finding out who is behind it myself, Enzo's bias might mean he's not seeing things so clearly, or he might be right. Either way, I let the facts lead me. When it comes to murder cases, the people involved with the deceased are always too emotional. Enzo isn't thinking straight right now. Will you take the case? He asks. His gaze is intense. I recall the second time he employed me, and I told him I couldn't start for a week. He wrapped a hand around my throat and told me I'd better start right away, or he'd squeeze the life out of me right then and there. I know his bullshit question is a front to act polite, but this is anything but normal. Refuse him, and I won't like the consequences. Of course, I'll be at the crime scene first thing in the morning. Tension visibly leaves Enzo's shoulders as he sighs. Thank you. I will pay your normal fee for however long it takes. He walks back to his desk and pulls open a drawer. I watch as he pulls out a brown paper bag and passes it to me. That's the first upfront payment. It should cover your initial investigative work. I glance inside. Enzo knows this will more than cover the entire job, even if it takes me months. There has to be at least $200,000 in brand new $100 bills. This will be more than enough, Enzo. He shakes his head. No, you will get double that once you solve this case. Finding out who did this is worth it. And so are you, Ava. He takes another sip of scotch. I know I've been stern with you at times, but I value your services above anyone else's. I feel my cheeks heat as I'm not good at taking compliments. Investigative work is something I'm good at and something I enjoy. I don't need someone like Enzo to tell me how much he values me. Thanks, I say quietly, knowing that not acknowledging him would be rude. If that is all, I will start doing some investigation online this evening before visiting the crime scene tomorrow. I stand. When would you like the first check-in? As soon as you have any information, I want you to come over and brief me. He glances up at me. No need for an appointment. Just tell my staff your name and you will be let in. I nod. Understood, I'll be in touch soon. I turn to leave. Ava, please let me walk you out. I shake my head. I'm sure I'm more than capable of walking myself out, Enzo. I'll be in touch. I open the door and step out into the corridor, shutting it behind me. Calmly, I walk out of his residence and to my car parked in his drive. Inside, I'm panicking. The pressure in this city has been building for too long, but I keep ignoring the warning signs. Only a month ago, some of the Carrick gang members were murdered rather publicly by the Russians. New York may be a big city, but I think the criminal organizations are quickly outgrowing it. They have the power to tear down everything we know and love about New York City with one big war. It would be carnage. All I can do is hope that my answers lead Enzo away from the Russians, as if they clash, there will be no avoiding war. Yuri, I don't agree on house calls often, but Andre insisted on meeting here and he's my biggest client. Strelka is my preferred meeting place with him, but that's become a rare occasion since he got married. I park my Chevy Impala opposite his home. Slipping out and crossing the street to Andre's townhouse, 4 men stand guard outside. Andre has increased the number of guards on the door ever since that bonehead, Devlin Murphy, managed to break in. The tensions between the Russians and Irish have calmed down for now, but Devlin isn't a level-headed man. It's a miracle the guy has survived this long in New York City. But if he doesn't take a more careful approach, I can't see him surviving long. I avoid having anything to do with the Irish at all costs, especially him. Devlin approached me once, but I refused to do the job he wanted me to carry out. It went beyond the realms of what I'd accept. Take out Andre. There's no way in hell I was taking out my preferred client and best customer. The guy was unhinged if he thought I would. Although I've done a hit for Enzo and other mob bosses in the past, I tend to stick with Andre as it's less messy. Most of my other clients are politicians and bureaucrats. Privet Svuyu, Yuri. Yakov says in greeting, bowing his head slightly in a sign of respect as I ascend the steps. Privet Svuyu, I reply before heading through the door and into Andrei's home. I'm not one of the Brotherhood, but Andrei's men respect me as though I'm one of their own. My infamous reputation as one of the best assassins in the country helps my case, along with the fact that I'm Russian. I think they are in awe of the fact I'm a former Spetsnaz leader. It's not something many can boast. Andrei relies on me for the majority of his assassinations, although he has other contracted killers he uses too. The Bratva under his father carried out more of their hits internally, but lately Andrei has adopted a freelance approach. He believes it's best to keep his men off the cops' radar and leave the murdering up to professionals. It's sensible. Andrei is a clever man. New York City may be a big place, but it tends to get awful crowded when you have the Russians, Irish, Italians, cartel, and triad all operating alongside each other. I know that the work from Andrei will never dry up. I'm in it for the money, plain and simple. Andrei has offered me a position, but I always politely refuse. A hitman isn't exactly a typical job, but I guess I have my father to thank for my profession. My father was a drunk and abusive man, but he did teach me one good thing. He told me that I should do something I'm good at. I've never been good at anything other than killing. Initially, I honed my skills at killing legally. When I was 18, I left home, joined the military, and trained for 4 years before being picked to train for the Spetsnaz, equivalent of special forces in Russia. When I was 25, a year after being picked for the Spetsnaz, I was badly injured on a covert operation. I had multiple bullet wounds in my arm, shoulder, and legs, which sent me home. I fought the superiors, but they told me I had to retire and couldn't continue in my condition as I wasn't strong enough. It left me with little option but to work as a hitman for the Brotherhoods in Moscow. After 5 years working for not much money and assholes, I heard of the uprising of a criminal underworld in New York City and that Ivor Petrov, Andrei's father, was thriving. That was when I decided to move to New York City. That was 10 years ago now, since I'm 40 years old. I turn the corner, heading toward Andrei's office at the back of the house. Raised voices come from inside. I shake my head, knowing who is in there with him. Vera. She's a firecracker, and she has Andrei wrapped so tightly around her little finger it's ridiculous. From the moment they met, I saw a change in him. I'm not sure if it is for the better. Vera makes him see reason in matters concerning his men, and there have been fewer casualties amongst his brotherhood. I'd say the brotherhood is stronger than ever. However, she can be more ruthless than him when it comes to his enemies, pushing him to go after more power. I wonder if she pushes his thirst for power too far. They think they are unstoppable, but the fact is, that's never true. No matter how much power you have, it takes one wrong move to bring an empire crumbling to its knees. I wait patiently, leaning against the wall and trying not to listen to their conversation. Other people's issues and problems don't interest me. It's best to keep out of it. Vera opens the door and comes storming out, not even noticing me. I clear my throat once she's gone and step toward the door, knocking on it. Andrei won't be in a good mood after he has argued with her, but he doesn't scare me. Andrei isn't a patch on some of the ruthless bastards I encountered in Russia. Who is it? He growls. Yuri Lenkov. There's a short pause before the door swings open. Please tell me you have good news. I nod. It's done. He steps aside. Come in. I walk into his office and shut the door. One of the first things I notice is the empty Scotch glass and half-drank bottle next to it. Andrei has had a bad relationship with alcohol ever since his father was murdered. How did it go? Andrei asks, narrowing his eyes as he reaches into his desk, reaching for my money. I tilt my head to the side without a hitch. I'm not particularly eager to go into detail about my kills, but Andrei always asks me. My methods are my own. Andrei tries not to smile as he pulls out the envelope of cash. Always talkative, aren't you, Yuri? I shrug. I don't know, sir. I offer Andrei respect since he commands it in this city, even though calling anyone sir grates on me. I'm not one to submit to anyone, which is another reason why life in his brotherhood would never suit me. I like to be the boss. He sets down the bag of cash. Good, it's all there. He nods toward the paper bag, staring at me. I trust Andrei. I know he wouldn't shortchange me. Thank you. I reach forward and take the envelope, slipping it into my inside jacket pocket. If there is nothing else, I will. Andrei holds a hand up, and I wonder if another one of his attempts to hire me is underway. I've heard Enzo has already been in contact with a PI to investigate. I raise a brow. Which PI? He shakes his head. Miss Jackson, my heart skips a beat. Ava Jackson, a beautiful woman who has intrigued me ever since I learned her name and set eyes on her. We are both similar in certain ways. Miss Jackson works for whoever will pay her the most at the time. I have to admire her courage since it's a dangerous game to play when you're not an assassin. Ava isn't scared to get her hands dirty with criminals, but I wonder if she knows the dangers of working for men like Enzo D'Angelo or Andre. We've never met. I'm not proud to admit that I have watched Ava from afar regularly for 2 years. She was investigating one of my assassinations 2 years ago when I first set eyes on her. The last time she got it wrong, thanks to my meddling in her case. She's got smarter since, and even better at cracking cases. Somehow I'll have to ensure she gets it wrong this time too. There is no other PI that can match her in the city, at least not one that works with criminals. What is your point, I ask? Andre clears his throat. It's merely a heads up. Keep your wits about you. Miss Jackson is smart. I nod. I'm well aware. Andre tilts his head to the side. You've encountered her before? I encountered her. But let's say my meddling meant she never had the pleasure of meeting me. Andre smirks, eyes lighting up. Good old Yuri. He shakes his head. Not many people can boast of outsmarting Ava Jackson. No, I don't suppose they can. I offer my hand to Andre. He takes it and shakes. Take care of yourself, Yuri. I'll be in touch again, no doubt. I nod and turn away from Andre, walking out of his office. My stomach is in knots, and I know the reason. Ava Jackson, the beautiful private investigator, has been a secret obsession of mine for the 2 years since I saw her. Outwitting her again will be hard, especially since I'm not sure I can keep away from her. My need to approach her has been growing lately, and this is the icing on the cake, not only because she is smart, but because I want her on a primal level. I may have never spoken to her, but she is everything that gets me going. I see her every Friday night at the BDSM club on 5th Avenue, the exclusive one called Sapphire. I'm not too proud to admit I only became a member, switching from my regular place. When I found out she was a member, she goes there and watches, and I often find myself watching her. I've wanted to approach her countless times, but it would be foolish. I'm thankful when I walk out of Andre's front door and onto the sidewalk, nodding to the men standing watch dutifully. I will have to do some surveillance on Ava in the morning and see where she is going with the investigation. Tomorrow is Friday, and tomorrow night is the only night I give myself the chance to unwind each week. I go to Sapphire every Friday night because Ava does too. I'm already wondering if it's a good idea or not to go to Sapphire while this is happening. After learning Ava is investigating Alessandro's hit, my head tells me to steer clear of her, at least for a few weeks. My heart and cock have other ideas. She's my fantasy, my obsession, an obsession that has been growing fiercer with each week that passes. I can't stay away from her. That woman will be my undoing. I know it more than anything, and yet I feel powerless to stop it. Ava, the murder scene is cordoned off with police tape. I curse under my breath as I notice Detective Herrera standing to one side. Out of all of the detectives it could have been, he's the last one I wanted to see. I'd hoped getting to the crime scene early would mean it would be relatively quiet. How wrong I was. None of the police detectives make it easy for me to get onto crime scenes, but Herrera hates me. Thankfully, my friend Sarah is a forensic scientist on the case, and she promised she would help me onto the scene. As I approach, Herrera notices me and heads my way. Jackson, where the fuck do you think you're going? He narrows his eyes. I'm not too sure what I did to make him be such an ass to me. I have as much right to be here as you. Herrera, he laughs. Bullshit. You may be a PI, but that doesn't give you the right to enter a live crime scene. I scan the scene looking for Sarah. She said she'd be here, but the forensic scientists are difficult to identify in their attire. Sarah asked me to come down here. I notice one of the forensic scientists walking this way, and I'm thankful as she pulls off her mask. Ava, thanks for coming down. Herrera's brow furrows. Why do you need a PI for this case? He asks. She glares at him. I want her opinion on something. You know, Ava is the best PI in the city. This is a live crime scene, Sarah. You know the rules. Surely the more people trying to solve this case, the better. He shakes his head but unhooks the tape to allow me into the crime scene. I'll let her in, but I'll have to report this to the chief. Calling a PI to come down to a live crime scene goes against protocols. Sarah laughs. Go ahead and report it. I'll explain to the chief. She hooks her arm with mine and leads me away from Herrera without another word. Once we're out of earshot, I turn to her. Shit, did I get you in trouble? She raises a brow. You mean Herrera's threat to report me to the chief? I nod in reply. Nah, the guy's a busybody, but it's a threat, nothing more. She shrugs. Herrera has had a thing for me for a while, so I get away with anything around him. I smile. Well, thank you for the assist. Herrera had no intention of letting me in. She smiles and shrugs. What are friends for? I laugh. What have we got then? She pulls me to a stop and glances around before we make it to the tent. It's a strange one. She sighs. The victim is a white male, mid-30s. We believe he's involved with Enzo D'Angelo. Officers think it's Alessandro Rossi, but we've yet to do the formal identification. I nod, despite already knowing that information. He was shot at close range with an HK-45. There's no doubt that a suppressor would have been fitted. Her brow furrows. The crazy thing is, it was busy on the street, but no one saw anything suspicious. Sarah shakes her head. The first people to notice him thought he had collapsed until the blood started to pool around him. My brow raises. It sounds like a professional hit to me. Sarah nods. Yeah, it would explain the lack of witnesses. Only a professional could pull that off. I nod, writing down some notes about the hit. The HK-45 has become a popular weapon lately amongst the gangs, so that's not much of a clue. He was shot there. I point to the tent. Yes, he was dead by the time he hit the ground. Bullet right through the heart. I sigh heavily, glancing around the area. As I expected, this is going to be a tough case to crack. I've come across some of the assassins in this city, but others are like ghosts. In fact, the one I think could be behind this is referred to as the Ghost. Only a skilled hitman could take out someone on such a busy street and have no witnesses. It reminds me a lot of a case I had 2 years ago for a politician. His aide was murdered on Fifth Avenue of all places, and similarly there were no witnesses. I was hired to investigate. The case never made sense to me, but in the end, a suspect came forward and confessed. The guy is still in prison today. I swallow, wondering if he was a scapegoat. I grit my teeth as I know how difficult this job is going to be. Assassins and hitmen live by a code, and they don't talk about who employed them. I guess it's similar to my code as a PI for the criminal groups operating here. What's that vacant look for? Sarah asks. I shake my head. Nothing. I just know this is going to be a hard case. Sarah has no idea that I work for the criminal organizations of New York City. If she did, I'm not sure she would speak to me ever again. After all, she's a forensic scientist for the police, working to bring people to justice. I investigate whatever anyone wants me to for the most money. Most of the time, it's criminals that pay the best. However, I've worked for my fair share of politicians and government officials. They are often as crooked and corrupt as the criminals. Sarah pats me on the back. Do you want to take a look at where he was found? Sure, thanks for this. Sarah and I have been friends for a long time, but I feel guilty that I keep such a huge secret from her. When I first started as a PI, I had no intention of working for criminals. It just happened. Lying to my friends isn't something I should have ever done. What would she say if she knew the truth? I know my morals are questionable, especially for a woman that wanted to be a detective for the NYPD. Yet I can't find it in myself to stop. Partly out of choice and greed for the lifestyle it allows me to live, and partly because the men I work for won't let me walk away anyway. Instead, I carry on burying myself in a deeper hole with each lie I tell. There was a point when I had to accept what my life had become and deal with the crushing burden. It doesn't get any easier, though, as I get out of the cab in front of Campini's, a small Italian restaurant on Staten Island. The sense of someone watching me sweeps across the back of my neck. I glance around, searching for the source of unease. There's no one looking at me, but I feel so on edge right now. This case has made me feel sick since Enzo called me into his office. It doesn't help when you know the man you're searching for is as professional as they come. He took Alessandro out so publicly and with such precision to leave no witnesses. There's another reason I'm on edge. Though the balance of power in the city has been off for a while, and if I find out Andre was behind this, war will follow. I may not be affiliated to any of the criminal organizations in the city, but it doesn't mean I won't get caught in the crossfire. The kind of men I work for don't care if I end up as collateral damage. I step inside the small Italian restaurant. It's owned by Mario's family, so I reckon it is the best place to start my search for him. The scent of pizza dough and cheese hits me the moment I enter, making my stomach rumble. It smells divine. To my surprise, Mario is sitting in the back corner at a table. Enzo said no one had seen him, but he is in the most obvious place you could look. Can I help you, Bella? A young man asks. I shake my head. I'm here to speak with Mario. The guy's brow furrows, but he nods toward the table at the back. He's there. Go ahead. I approach Mario slowly, knowing this guy is dangerous at the best of times. Mario? I ask. He glances up at me. Yeah, who's asking? I'm thankful he doesn't recognize me, as our previous encounters have been anything but civil. I hold my hand out to him. Ava Johnson, Enzo hired me to look into Alessandro's death. He visibly relaxes and takes my hand in a firm shake. Of course, take a seat. He nods toward the seat opposite him. I sit and dig my notebook out of my bag. I was hoping you could answer some questions for me about Alessandro. He nods, not looking up from the glass in his hand. Of course I'll do anything to find the bastard that killed him. His hand tightens around his glass until his skin turns white. Did Alessandro recently have any issues with anyone in particular? Mario looks at me hesitantly. He had a plan. He takes a sip of his drink before elaborating. I only found out about it 2 days before he was murdered, but Alessandro wanted the power for himself. He had been making moves to score new drug suppliers and find some people to back his ascension as Don. He looks conflicted. I've sat on this information for 2 days, when I should have told the boss. Enzo will kill me when he finds out. He sets his head in his hands. That explains why no one had seen him since. Do you think that his plan had something to do with his murder? Mario looks at me for the first time properly. Have we met before? I shrug. I've met a lot of Enzo's guys over the years during my investigations. He nods and returns his attention to his glass. I guess because he's down about his friend. He's not being his normal douchebag self. I assume you will report what I've told you to Enzo. I nod. I have to. But you could always beat me to it and tell him yourself. Something tells me he might not be so harsh with you if it's you that brings it to him. I don't even know why I'm offering him that option, considering he's been such an asshole to me in the past. He looks up at me. You're right. He runs a hand through his sandy brown hair. Alessandro's hit fits the MO of the man they call the Ghost. My interest peaks at hearing him speak that name. You reckon this was him? His name has cropped up a few times in other investigations, but he truly is a ghost. My attempts to find him have been futile. He nods. Do you know who he is? I ask. Mario laughs. No one does well except whoever is employing him. His brow furrows. He mainly works for the Russians as far as we are aware. Damn it. Maybe Enzo's suspicions were right. The question is, how am I going to find this assassin? Rykov comes to mind. He is the only guy I'm confident would take a bribe in exchange for information. The guy is a fucking snake, but he is a means to an end. Thank you, Mario. I stand, stowing away my notebook in my bag. If I have any more questions, I'll find you. He raises a brow. Any time, I best go and speak with Enzo. I nod. Best to get there before I see him next. He looks like a defeated and broken man. Not at all how I remembered him the few times we'd spoken before. I leave him without another word, walking out of the restaurant and back out onto the street. It seems a visit to Rykov is going to be unavoidable. I hate dealing with the Russians. Most of them are pretty hostile to anyone who isn't one of them. It's a necessary evil if I'm going to crack this case. Luckily, Rykov is all right because all he cares about is money. A greedy Russian is an easy one to manipulate. Time to find out if he knows anything about the assassin employed to take out Alessandro, as all the evidence points to the Russians. Yuri, I'm never nervous. At least not since I was the cowering little boy hiding in the corner as my father beat my mother. So why am I nervous now? I stand on the sidewalk outside my regular BDSM club, Sapphire, a standard Friday night for me. Yet there's nothing standard about it. I feel nauseous and Ava Johnson is the cause. My obsession with the private investigator has been a problem for longer than I'd like to admit. Something snapped inside me the moment Andre mentioned her name. The beauty is investigating one of my hits again. It's twisted that I'm excited about the prospect. I didn't waste time in tracking her down, and it wasn't hard. She visited Mario Campini earlier today at his family's restaurant on Staten Island. Ava is already hot on this case, but I expected nothing less. It's ironic that the killer is tracking the investigator rather than the other way around. Once she left Campini's, she headed downtown to a liquor store owned by Andre. She is connecting the dots quicker than I expected. Although it doesn't take a genius to work out that Alessandro had crossed Andre. He stole a shipment of their drugs and tried to steal his supplier, which worked out with him dead in Chinatown 2 days later. It's been 2 years since I first set eyes on the stunning private investigator. 2 years since she investigated another one of my hits. Ava Johnson is the best in the business, which means going anywhere near her while her investigation into Alessandro's case is ongoing is dangerous. It may be a cocky notion, but I've kept my identity sealed for 10 years. Perhaps the best place to hide is in plain sight. There's a reason I've got the nickname The Ghost. I adjust my tie and step toward the entrance, confidence filling each stride. Alex, the bouncer, smiles as I approach. "Hey, Josh!" Josh is my undercover name and the name I give to everyone in my day-to-day life. Even my clients don't know my name at all. They know me as the Ghost, and that is it. Every client other than Andre, as he is the only guy I trust. My passport, driver's permit, rental agreement, and bank accounts are all in my fake name. Josh King in my line of work. I need to protect myself and my assets. "Hi, Alex." He steps aside to allow me into the club. "Have fun," he winks. I don't reply because I'm too on edge. As I try to recall a time I've been this anxious, I can't. Ava is currently looking for me in connection to a murder, and that fact sets my pulse soaring. I've always been the hunter, but being hunted by the object of my sick and twisted fantasies is intoxicating. She had best be careful, though, or she will become the prey if she gets too close. The moment I step through the doors into the club, I find myself scanning the room for her. My stomach sinks when I don't find her amongst the members. Ava will be here tonight, as she hasn't missed a Friday night in 2 years. I try to stop my firing pulse and head for the bar, needing a drink. Normally, I don't drink alcohol, but tonight I'll make an exception. "Josh, what can I get you?" Leanne asks, smiling. "Double scotch on the rocks." She nods. "Coming right up." I turn around and lean against the bar, waiting for her to get my drink. All the while, my attention is fixed on the entrance. It's not early. Ava normally gets here by 8 o'clock, and it is past. "There you go." Leanne sets the drink down. "Looking for someone?" she asks. I turn and pull out a $20 bill, handing it over to her. "No." I take the drink and walk away without another word. I'm not exactly skilled at small talk. It's something that irritates me more than I can put into words. I set my sights on my normal table on the mezzanine above, which gives me the perfect view of the club. I always watch Ava from above like a hawk. It's stalker behavior, I know, but my obsession with her has grown out of control. I used to go to a different BDSM club, a Russian-owned one. That was until found out Ava was a member of Sapphire, a clear sign that we're interested in the same kind of kinky play. Women here have approached me, but I'm yet to take any of them up on their offers, as all I want is her. I ascend the stairs and sit down at my table, taking a long gulp of the hot, fiery liquid. It helps calm my anxiety, but I still can't stop my heart from pounding. One of the waitresses approaches me. "Good evening, sir." She bows her head. "Is there anything I can get you?" She bats her eyelashes. I shake my head. "No, I'm good." She places her hand on my wrist. "Please let me know if that changes." I grit my teeth, hating when anyone invades my personal space without an invitation. "I will." I pull my arm away, glaring at her with careful control. I'm not the same man in here as I am at my job. Josh King is refined and calm, not Yuri Lenkov, the assassin who settles everything with controlled violence. The waitress looks a little startled as she returns to her position. I lean forward in my chair, staring out over the dance floor below. Have I missed her? I scan the club, wondering if she is here somewhere. It's almost 9 o'clock. It's fucked up that I know she's like clockwork, always here by 8 o'clock sharp. The door to the club opens, and it feels like time slows as I wait to see who it is. The nerves die down the moment she steps through the door. My cock thickens in my pants as she struts across the floor in a stunning royal blue dress which accentuates her curvy hips and thick thighs. Thighs I want to spread wide open with my spreader bar. My pants are uncomfortably tight. They always are when I set my eyes on her. She flicks her long curls of golden brown hair over her shoulder, glancing around the club. She purses her lips slightly, making me wish I was down there. I want to kiss those full pink lips more than I've ever wanted to kiss any woman's lips. Normally when I'm watching her, I feel calm. Right now, I feel chaotic. There's something different now that I know she's on my case for the second time. After 2 years of watching her every Friday night, I wonder if she's ever felt my gaze on her. I'm an expert at blending into the shadows, but I can't help but wonder if she's felt my intense attention. I'm not the only man that looks at her. The anger I feel when I notice another man staring at her is unprecedented. The need to approach her has grown over 2 years, but I've kept my urges in check and watched from afar. Miss Johnson has only ever been an untouchable fantasy, but for some reason my mind is starting to think about turning it into a reality. 2 years of lusting after a woman is enough to drive anyone insane. I sip my drink, keeping my gaze fixed on her. She stands by the bar waiting for her drink. It's always Chardonnay. Leanne hands her glass and she turns to walk across the dance floor. I feel my rage slam into me the moment I see a man reach for her, setting his hands on her hips, my hips. A crazy notion considering I've never even spoken to her. But the possession I feel over her is uncontrollable. I feel like I have a claim over her. Ava turns around with a face like thunder. I feel my chest swell with pride as she grabs his wrists and twists them behind his back. The woman is kick-ass and won't take any shit. I've witnessed it several times at this club. One of the best kinds of submissive is one that can stand up to a man when he's out of line, but give up all control to the dom she wants. I'm thankful that the weasel who put his hands on her isn't who she wants. I clench my jaw as I think about the 2 men that I've seen her leave this club with. Both of them were muscled, inked, and real doms that would have taken her in hand. It killed me to watch her go with each of them on those 2 occasions, but I had no choice. Thankfully, she hasn't picked a man to leave here with for months. As my obsession has grown, I'm not sure I could stand by and watch her leave with anyone else, which would risk me revealing myself to a woman investigating a murder I committed. There's hiding in plain sight and being too fucking ballsy. Approaching her would be too ballsy. Even as I tell myself that, my cock and heart recoil, both want to be near her. The guy who touched her walks away from her looking pissed. All my attention remains fixed on her as she walks toward the stairs. My heart skips a beat as she sets her hands on the railings and ascends the first step. Ava never comes up here. For 2 years she has never stepped foot on this mezzanine. I wait for her to appear, watching the top of the stairs like a hawk. Ava appears, looking down, careful not to misstep in her high heels on the steel steps. She doesn't even look my way as she walks past me and sits at a table on my right. It's as though I'm invisible to her, and that hurts. I take a deep breath, calming myself. It is no different to if she were down below in the main club. I make sure my glances are subtle with her close. Again, my mind and my heart are at war with each other. My heart wants me to stand and approach her, but my head wins the argument. Self-control is a must as an assassin. My brow furrows as Leanne appears at the top of the stairs. She never comes up here either. She walks past me and then sits next to Ava. What the hell is going on? Since I've been a member here, I've never seen one of the workers sit down with a member. The curious side of me wishes I could be closer to eavesdrop on their conversation. Leanne points at a man at the bar and Ava sits straighter, following her gaze. She then points at another man and Ava looks at him too. It grates me that I can't hear their conversation, but clearly Leanne is giving her some information on the club's members. After that, she gets up and leaves Ava on her own. As Leanne walks past me, Ava glances in my direction. I'm taken off guard and not quick enough to look away. Ava stares right into my eyes, igniting that passion and need deep within. For the first time in 2 years, she sees me. Electricity crackles through the air as I hold her gaze. Something I've longed to do ever since I set eyes on her. There's no way I'm backing down. Ava's beautiful blue gems drive me wild with need as she stares back, almost captivated. Her cheeks flush as she mindlessly licks her bottom lip, still not breaking our eye contact. I groan under my breath as my pants get tight and my cock strains to break free. What I would give to be inside that woman. She turns away and my muscles knot with tension. Ava Johnson is going to meet Josh King tonight. After she looked at me like that, I can't stay away. My mind is screaming at me not to approach her, yet I'm standing up as if on autopilot. It's as though my legs have a mind of their own as I approach her, my heart pounding fast. She's staring out over the dance floor, completely unaware that a predator is waiting to pounce. I want this woman more than I can put into words. For some reason, knowing that she is investigating one of my assassinations makes me want her more. Perhaps it's because I love living on the edge and flirting with danger. I clear my throat. Is this seat taken? She turns toward me, eyes wide and cheeks still flushed. I'm going to claim Ava. I don't care about the danger. Life isn't worth living if you don't live it on the edge. Even though I've had a long hot shower since I still feel dirty after speaking with Rykov. He's a snake and doesn't deserve to be a part of Andrei's brotherhood. He is beyond creepy. I hope the price I paid is worth it for the information he gave me. I can't deny that I was shocked by what he told me. He didn't know the true identity of the ghost, but he had heard that he carried out Alessandro's hit and that he attends Sapphire every Friday night. That was the most shocking part of it. The ghost attends the same BDSM club as me on the same night of the week. What are the odds? New York City is vast, yet we picked the same club. It cost me more money than it should have for such vague information, but I wouldn't admit to Rykov I'd have sold my soul for it. The mystery surrounding the ghost has bugged me for too long. 2 years ago, I was hired to find the murderer of a politician I was certain the ghost had murdered. But then some guy came forward and confessed. It didn't make any sense, but I couldn't argue against a sworn confession. It's a strange coincidence that the man I investigated 2 years ago attends this club on the same night as me. Since I moved to New York City 5 years ago, Sapphire has been my refuge. I joined the police academy at 18 years old and moved to New York City from Michigan to escape my uncle. He was an abusive drunk that beat me for as long as I can remember. When I got my acceptance letter to join the academy, I was over the moon and escaped during the night without telling him where I was going. I haven't seen him since. Unfortunately, I trusted the wrong people at the academy. A guy I thought was my friend pinned a botched-up arrest on me, and since the NYPD is run by men, they bought his side of the story. I've been a PI for 4 years ever since they kicked me out. At Sapphire, I've had a few brief relationships with some doms, but none of them clicked for me. They weren't what I was looking for. "Ava, how are you?" Alex asks, eyes dropping down my dress. The bouncer is a bit of a pig, but I try to be polite to him. "I'm good. You?" I ask. He shrugs. "Same old." He unhooks the rope across the entrance. "Enjoy your evening." "Thank you." I step inside, but unlike most Friday nights, I'm on edge. The fact that the man I'm searching for is probably inside the club makes this feel like work. I walk slowly into the club, which is packed. Fuck, it's an open evening tonight, meaning that prospective members are allowed in. There's no chance I'm going to be able to find the man I'm looking for amongst all of these people. My best bet is to ask a couple of the staff if they know who else is always here on a Friday night. I move across the dance floor toward the bar, noticing Leanne. She's here without fail most Fridays. "Hey, Leanne," I say. She smiles at me. "Hey, Ava, what can I get you?" I clear my throat. "A glass of your finest Chardonnay and an answer to a question." She raises a brow. "What question?" I bite the inside of my cheek, wondering if this is going to get me into trouble. Member confidentiality here is important, but I don't see the harm in my question. I wondered if there are any guys that are always here without fail on a Friday night, too. She grabs a bottle of Chardonnay out of the wine fridge and pours me a glass. "A few guys, I think." I bite my lip. "Would you be able to point them out to me?" She stops pouring my drink. "I shouldn't really." I slide a small wedge of cash over the bar. "Please." Her eyes widen, but she takes the cash and nods. "Okay, there's 3 guys that are always here on Friday nights. I don't want to be obvious. Meet me on the mezzanine in 10 minutes. Good old Leanne. I can always count on her to help me out." "Thank you." She smiles, but it's uneasy. "Here's your drink." I take the drink and then walk across the dance floor. There are so many people here that it's unnerving. I love the club as it normally is, members only now, and then they have these open evenings. My heart skips a beat as I feel a pair of hands on my hips, jerking me to a stop. I grit my teeth, hating being touched without invitation. Some men think they can take when they want from a sub, but that is not the case. BDSM is about respect, boundaries, and consent. I turn around and grab the guy's right wrist with my spare hand, twisting it easily behind his back. "Don't lay a fucking hand on me, do you understand?" I ask. "Fuck, that hurts." He tries to break free, but I hold firm. "Do you understand?" I repeat. "Calm down, lady. I only wanted to tell you that you looked nice." I tighten my grip, hurting him more. Telling a woman she looks nice doesn't require your hands on her body. "Now keep them to yourself." I let him go, pushing him away from me. He shakes his head, holding his wrist with his other hand. "Fuck me, you need to loosen up." I glare at him as he walks away, heading toward another unsuspecting woman. Some men can be real assholes, but that would never happen on a normal night here at the club. All the members of Sapphire are respectful and know the correct way to behave toward a sub. Boys like him shouldn't even be allowed in on open evenings. I reached the steps up to the mezzanine level and climbed them. Leanne must have a scheduled break in a few minutes, otherwise she wouldn't be able to meet me up here. There aren't many people up on the mezzanine, which I'm thankful for. I sit down at a table that offers a good view of the club below. Leanne joins me after a few minutes and takes a seat at the table. I shouldn't be doing this, she says. I shrug. Doing what? She shakes her head. The 3 men are here tonight. She leans forward. See that guy at the bar next to the blonde? I peer down into the club and notice an older man about 60 with gray hair. Yeah, that's Ian, and he's here every Friday night. I clench my jaw, wondering if the ghost could be that old. It's unlikely, but not impossible. Okay, who else? She glances around the club and stops, pointing at a red-haired man in his early 20s sitting in a booth. He looks like a computer geek. That's Charles. He's here every Friday, too. He doesn't look like anything special, but I'm not sure exactly what I'm expecting. She leans toward me. Don't look right now. But the other man is sitting to the left of us on a table alone, wearing a dark gray suit. His name is Josh. I feel a sudden need to go against her instructions, but I don't. Instead, I keep my attention pinned to the red-haired man below. Okay, thank you, Leanne. She nods and stands. If there is anything else I can help you with, please let me know. I track her as she leaves, giving me a good excuse to glance at the man sitting on the table to my left. My heart skips a beat as my eyes connect with a pair of dark brown eyes watching me. I swallow hard, realizing that he is the man Leanne was talking about. He doesn't break the intense eye contact between us, and I can't either. There's something about him. I wonder if he's the ghost. Out of the 3 men Leanne has pointed out, he would be my first choice. I don't know how I've never noticed him here before, if he's been here every Friday night. He's stunning. He has messy golden brown hair and a square, stubble-dusted jaw. His muscles bulge out of his shirt and tattoos visible up his neck and hands, the kind of man that is my type to a T. I break his gaze and return my attention to the dance floor below. My heart rate is erratic. The man to my left is most certainly the man I'm looking for. After spending 5 years as a PI, I know the kind of men I'm dealing with. He's cocky, and that's how I'd expect the ghost to be. I've got to get the courage up to approach him. Josh is undoubtedly a cover name, but that's something I'm going to have to ascertain. When I glance back in his direction, my stomach flips that he's no longer sitting in his seat. Is this seat taken? A deep Eastern European accent asks from the right of me. I spin around to see him smiling down at me, eyes crinkling at the edges as he does. His gaze steals the breath from my lungs, as up close he's even more beautiful. It looks like he has made my job of approaching him a little easier. No, it's not. May I? He sets his hand on the back of the chair, drawing my attention to the tattoos on it. This man is most certainly Russian, which points to Enzo's hunch being correct. I nod in response, letting my eyes dip down his tight white shirt that leaves nothing to the imagination. More dark tattoos just visible at his collar, making my heart race. He's not bulky but defined and muscular. I can see the darkness of more tattoos hidden beneath his shirt, and it gets my pulse racing. Damn, the ghost would be fucking hot, wouldn't he? What are you drinking, he asks. His accent is sexy as fuck. Normally I find the Russian accent harsh, but perhaps that's because of the circumstances I've met most Russians under. Chardonnay? You? He smiles. It does not matter what I drink. I want to buy you a drink. He waves over a waitress that is always stationed on the upper floor. A bottle of your best Chardonnay, please. She nods. Coming right up, Mr. King. Josh King. Yeah, right. This guy's surname isn't even Russian, which means he's lying about his identity. It looks like Enzo's hunch about the Russians being behind the hit on Alessandro is growing more likely by the minute. Alessandro had gotten on the wrong side of the Russians trying to make his play to become Don, coupled with the Russian hitman who pretends to be American, and things are starting to stack up against Andrei Petrov fast. Leanne pointed out 2 other men who aren't an option, which means if Rykov is right, the man sitting opposite me is the ghost. He took out Alessandro. There's no doubt about it. I get the feeling I got the wrong man once. I can't do it again. The danger of the fact makes my stomach twist, and my heart pounds harder and faster. Normally, I don't get this close to my suspects and work in the shadows, especially when they are infamous assassins. This man won't admit the truth to me if he is the ghost. I don't think he has to. As I look into his dazzling chestnut brown eyes, I know he's hiding dark secrets. Secrets I intend to get my hands on no matter what it takes. Yuri. What the fuck am I doing? I sit in the seat opposite Ava, watching every move she makes. Her cheeks are pink and she's breathing heavily. It makes me proud. Ava Jackson doesn't get easily shaken, and yet here she is trembling in my presence. What is your name, beautiful? I ask. She shakes her head. Yours first. I can't help but smile at that. Josh. I hold out a hand to her. She looks at it before saying her name. Ava. And that's not your name. I raise a brow. It's not? My heart is pounding frantically as I realize how dangerous speaking to her is. No, you have an accent, you're not from America, and that's an American name. I smile, but inside I'm starting to think my approaching her was a terrible idea. Where am I from? Russia. Her response is quick, concise, and accurate. I've hardly said more than 20 words in her presence, and yet she is certain she knows my accent is Russian. It's impressive. So certain, I ask. She nods. Yes. She moves her seat, so we're closer, making my heart race. I know you're the ghost, and I want you to answer some questions. Well, that came out of nowhere. I stare at Ava but keep cool, even though I'm panicking inside. I knew the risk of speaking to her, but I never thought she was close to realizing who I am. I don't know what you're talking about, Malishka. She narrows her eyes. What does Malishka mean? She asks it with almost perfect pronunciation. My smirk widens. It means baby girl. Her cheeks deepen in color, and she clears her throat, averting my gaze. I see. I let my tongue trace over my bottom lip, hoping to steer the conversation away from where it was headed. What part of the lifestyle interests you? I ask, keeping my gaze fixed on her with intensity. I've dreamed of moments like this with her. She shakes her head, turning shy. I don't wish to discuss it. I clench my jaw. Well, you are a sub, I presume. I'm a dom. How can we figure out if we'd be a match if you won't discuss it with me? Her eyes widen as she looks up at me. A match, I smile at her. Yes, that's what this club is for, isn't it? She nods, clearing her throat. Of course, I don't think you will be into what I'm into, so we might as well write it off now. Little does she know that I'd be into anything she is into, but I don't say that. Try me. As a dom, I love to take my sub's protective role, making her my baby girl. However, I'm often happy to take any dominant role. If she wants me to make her my slave, I will. I'd do anything to get this girl. She's hesitant and her breathing is heavier. I'm into the daddy dom scene. It's like music to my damn ears, especially since not many women are into it. I smirk. Then call me daddy, Malishka. Her cheeks grow an even deeper pink. Are you saying, yes, it's my preference too? She shakes her head. You're trying to distract me. She swallows hard. You're the ghost, aren't you? I feel an odd twisting in my gut at the thought of lying to her. What is the ghost? I know you're him. Her eyes narrow. Almost 2 years ago to the day, you tricked me and paid a man to lie about an assassination you carried out, didn't you? Fuck. Maybe I didn't outsmart her 2 years ago. She remembers it. The man I made take the fall for my murder owed me a debt. He could either die or take my place in the prison cell. He chose the latter. You're talking about things I know nothing about. I move my hand towards hers on the table and take it. Why don't you let Daddy take care of you tonight? For a moment she hesitates, letting me hold her hand. I can tell she wants to give in to our mutual attraction, but she pulls away. I don't need anyone to take care of me. Are you sure about that? I tilt my head to the side. That's what a daddy dom does, Malishka. She clenches her jaw. Certain. If you don't know anything about the murder, what do you do for a living? I lean back in my chair, smirking at her persistence. I'm a lawyer. What do you do? I'm a private investigator. Her eyes narrow. What firm do you work for? I shake my head. That's enough questions. The waitress finally returns with the bottle of wine, setting it down on the table with 2 fresh glasses. Can I get you anything else, Mr. King? I shake my head. That's all, thank you. I reach for the bottle and pour each of us a glass since Ava has finished her first one. I only let loose 1 night a week. Being a lawyer is a high-pressured profession. I set the bottle back in the cooler. I'd like to relax and enjoy my evening with a beautiful woman. I hold my glass up. Cheers. Ava glares at me without a reply, but I don't let my resolve waver. She takes a sip of the wine, watching me carefully over the rim. Fine, but you best find another woman to spend it with. She stands, holding the glass of wine. I grit my teeth and stand too, blocking her way. There's no way she is getting away from me that easily. I tower over her, feeling rage pulse through me at the thought of watching her walk away from me as if I'm nothing. I'm not tall by any means, only 6'1", but she is not much over 5 feet. I want to spend it with you. I set my hands on her hips possessively, holding her tight. She needs to know who is in charge here. Step aside and take your hands off me, she says, but her voice is hesitant, almost uncertain. I know you want me, Kiska. Why fight it? She licks her bottom lip as she lets her eyes dip down my chest. Because I don't want to spend my Friday night with you. I laugh. The look in your eyes tells me that's exactly what you want, Ava. Her stunning blue eyes flash with desire as I speak her name, and I can tell I've broken through her barriers. I'll have one drink with you, but then I'm leaving. I nod in agreement, despite having no intention of letting her leave without me. Fair enough. She sits back down opposite me, flicking her golden brown hair over her back. My cock is hard thinking about all the dirty things I want to do to her. I want her to be my baby girl and let me take care of her like a daddy dom is supposed to. Are you originally from New York, Ava? She shakes her head. No, Michigan originally. Where in Russia are you from? I can see the cogs whirring still. Ava wants any information she can get from me, but I'm going to have to disappoint her. Tonight is about you, Ava. Someone knocks into my chair, stopping to apologize. Shit, sorry. My heart skips a beat as I recognize the guy and he knows my name. Real name, Yuri? He asks. Shit, Yakov is standing there, staring right at me with his arms around a woman. He's one of Andrei's men who I've had to deal with before on Andrei's jobs. Andrei's men go to a different BDSM club in the city, so I always thought I was safe here under my false identity. Tonight is a fucking open night, and it looks like Yakov decided to check it out. I can't believe my luck when I'm sitting opposite a woman investigating a murder I committed for his brotherhood. I don't know who that is, I say, glaring at him in the hope he will catch on. My name is Josh. You must have me mixed up with someone else. He nods and holds up his hands. Shit, sorry, my mistake. He winks and then walks away. I grit my teeth, wishing he wasn't such a fucking idiot. The wink revealed to the very perceptive woman opposite me that my name is indeed Yuri. It's clear that he knows me. My real name is in the clutches of the woman investigating a murder I carried out only yesterday. Things are spiraling out of control far faster than I could have anticipated. I need to get the hell out of here fast. Yuri, hey? Ava clears her throat. Sounds more like it than Josh King. I grip my wine glass so hard the stem snaps, making Ava gasp. The glass cuts my hand and it's a welcome pain. Blood trickles down my arm and onto the table below, but I hardly feel it. I always knew my obsession with this woman would unpick everything I've worked so hard to build. Ever since I set eyes on